Hey, ladies, and welcome back to another episode of LadyBoss Unplugged. On today's episode, it is going to be real, raw, and so powerful because we're talking about something that so many women struggle with sharing our stories before we reach the finish line. We're told only to share the highlight reel or to wait until we've reached the goal, hit the milestone, lost the weight. But what if the most impactful stories are the ones we tell while we're still in the middle of the mess and the chaos? Today, I have Jocelyn with me, a Lady Boss team member and a woman who's right in the thick of her journey. She's going to get raw and real with what it looks like sharing her story while she's still working on herself, and how that's been both terrifying and freeing all at the same time. So grab your Lady Boss lean, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Hey, Lady Boss. Welcome to Lady Boss Unplugged, the podcast where real women have real conversations about crushing their goals, building unstoppable confidence, and creating lives they absolutely love. Hi, I'm Caitlin Talamonte, CEO and owner of Lady Boss, wife, mom of 2 boys, and your biggest cheerleader.
Do you remember when Mommy looked like that?
Way not similar.
Each week, we'll dive into stories, strategies, and straight up motivation to help you show up as the best version of you. Because let's be honest, you are made for more. So whether you're driving the kids to practice, hitting the treadmill, or just taking a moment for yourself, get ready to laugh, learn, and leave inspired.
LadyBoss gives you the tools to not only hit your weight loss or your health and fitness goals, but to believe in yourself.
This is Lady Boss Unplugged, where women like you rise, thrive, and shine.
Hey, Jocelyn, thank you so much for being here with us today and willing to get real. I want to dive right on in. Earlier, last week? Before we decided to schedule this podcast, you said something to me that hit me. And you said, why don't we share our stories while we're still in the middle of them? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's a great question and one that, I was actually asked a couple weekends ago, and it really made me stop and think, why is that? Like, we've got a whole community full of ladies. Why is it we're not more open about our journeys while we are right in the middle of them? And why is it we think that there's some, I don't know, end goal to where we have to be, a certain amount of successful before we can speak about it? I think it's a lot of women being scared. I think we're scared of failing. We're scared of looking like hypocrites. We're scared that if we tell our story and we mess up, that maybe, we just look like a failure. And, maybe we just set such unrealistic expectations for ourselves that we're already convinced that we're not going to succeed. So I am here to prove that the opposite is true. I'm in the middle of my weight loss journey, like you mentioned, for what feels like the millionth time. And I'm here to share it anyway. So if anyone has any doubts, let me be proof that you can share your journey while you are smack in the middle of it.
Yes, I can relate to that so much. There were so many times where I felt like if I shared my journey when I wasn't at my end goal, people would be like, who does she think she is? Like, I don't want to see that. But honestly, those in the middle moments are what makes us the most relatable, right? Like, now that I've basically to my goal weight, people didn't see, the people who didn't watch my journey don't know the journey I went through. Right. And so they just see me and the version I am now, not all the work it took to get there.
Right. I think a lot of people miss that middle section, and that's where majority of women need help, is right there in the middle.
Yeah, it is. Can you share a moment with the ladies where you recently felt that fear of being judged for sharing where you're at?
Well, yeah, just restarting. I have been a lady boss since 2017, and I think when a lot of people mention that, then they expect to see somebody who is done with their journey and a maintenance journey. And I'm not. I'm restarting again, and life is messy and things happen. And, for a long time, I just thought that this was going to be it. It was going to be like start over, go really hard for a really, really short amount of time, and then burn out or fail and, start over. And then it's a cycle, right? And when Lady Boss closed, I just walked away because I was like, this is it. This is going to be my life. I'm just going to be overweight, the bigger friend, and I'm just going to have to learn to accept that. I was burnt out, and I had just ended a toxic friendship and I had lost my mom, and it was just too much to even think about starting a journey at that point. It was too much, right? And so to have the, like, I don't know, the courage to restart. It's scary, right? Because you're like, well, they're going to be like, "Oh, this one's restarting again." Okay, like sure, we'll see your first post, but how many posts after that, really? Because it happens. People are like, we're going to go really strong for the first couple of weeks and make a couple of posts, and then they just kind of fall off and they don't really say anything about it. But that's where you really need to be involved. Like, hey, this is where I'm struggling, this is what's happening, this is how I'm handling it, or how do you handle it, or where can I learn from this?
Yes, that accountability is huge because it is easy, so easy to fall off, right? And I think a lot of that is the unrealistic expectations we set, like the impossible goals we set for ourselves, almost like we're intentionally setting ourselves up to fail.
Hmm. Yeah, because then it's like, see, I told you I couldn't do it. And it's like you would rather be responsible for your failures than have the idea that you could actually succeed in something.
It's crazy. Why do you think we do that as women?
um well, I mean, like I said, I think it's easier to know that we are in control of something, and I think it's easier to kind of, I mean, we like to be in control of situations. All of us do, no matter what people say. We love to be in control. And so not knowing what's going to happen, and it doesn't have I think for me, I overthink it, right? It's so simple. You can start so small. And I
Oh,
think when we sit down and think about weight loss, we're like, okay, we've got to go to the grocery store, clean out the pantry, redo my schedule completely. And it's not even that, like, get a 32-ounce water bottle in one day, right? Add protein to your meals and eat that first, right? It's the really small things. Stop overthinking it. Just do something small.
yes. I love it. I actually had someone DM me the other day and they're like, hey, I've been seeing your social and whatnot and you're following your weight loss journey. And I just need to know, is it hard? And I'm like, how do I answer that? Because as you know, here at Lady Boss, we focus on weight loss simplified, but it's never easy. I don't care what journey you take, because if you want change, you have to make sacrifice, right?
Right.
But you summed it up perfectly, where it doesn't have to be this all or nothing mindset. It's start with one thing and layer it on. Like, is it
Yeah.
easy? No, it's not. But it's totally worth it and it's sustainable. It's not
Yeah.
cheating yourself out of not being able to have the Girl Scout cookies or having the milkshake, but it's about how to live with the things you love, but also fueling your body. Like, yeah, it's not easy, but it's
There's
worth.
difficult times. Yeah.
And there is a way that it becomes your lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I feel like so often that like we're waiting for like that "I told you so" moment from people, though. Because let's be real, we're our own worst critics, are we not? Like, we're
Yeah.
thinking about like the worst case scenario before it ever happens, like it
Yep.
already happened.
Yep.
What if instead we flip the script, and instead of saying "I can't do this," what if we said, "What if I can?"
Exactly. And, I just made a post about this the other day, right? Like, what if you drink that water and you meet your goal that day? What if you make it to the gym once a week and you meet your goal that week, right? Then what? Then what happens after that, right? Like, if you set such a small goal in the beginning, like we do in the 30-day slim down, right? That it makes it easy to meet those goals and be like, okay, I guess I could do this again tomorrow. It really wasn't that bad. I could probably drink some water, like it's just really making it so simple that, I mean, yes, it does take work, anything's going to take work, but it's going to be, you don't have to overthink it all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you don't at all. I love the way it's Slim Down layers it for you. So that way it can help you prioritize yourself, not overthink it. Keep it simple. But using those moments of getting to the gym, getting that 32 ounces of water, like all of those are wins. And being able to actually celebrate the journey. Like, no, you didn't lose 20 pounds in one day. That's not a thing that doesn't happen, right? But
Right.
like you made the first step. Oh, wait, now you've made the second step. Now you've made the third. And you get to celebrate every step because, like, what if? What
Yep.
if I can and I keep going? What does life look like?
Yeah, absolutely.
It, it's one of those things where it's like we let that I can't do it hold us back, not just in our weight loss, but in all areas, so many areas, I shouldn't say all, so many areas of life. And how would your life look, whether it's with your weight or your career or your family or your relationship or your financial, if you said, what if I can, instead of what if I can't?
Right. I mean, it completely changes, and that it was a big part of like my restarting my journey. Um, short answer, right? God is a part of my journey, a big part of my journey. And, when I came back to Lady Boss, right, I started watching your videos and he laid it on my heart so heavy to reach out. And I was like, oh, I've already reached out to Erica before. What if they're like this girl, like, but I was like, okay, but what if I reach out, right? And on the off chance, right, they need something, right? What if this turns out to be a good thing, And, you mentioned on your podcast before, you knew that Lady Boss and helping these women was your passion and your calling, and you weren't sure how you were going to live it out yet. And that is exactly how I felt. I felt lost and like I didn't have a path, you know what I mean? And I felt like I went to school to start another career, even to try to like completely I didn't know what to do. My passion is this. My passion is helping other women. And so it felt like when I reached out and when you reached out, it was like God was saying, like, I never took this calling from you, right? You just needed a new way to carry it out, right? And that's when everything started shifting, right, in my mind. I was like, maybe I just needed this new way to think about it. Maybe I just needed this different perspective, right? Maybe he wasn't taking anything, it just wasn't time.
Oh, I
And
love it. I love
I
it.
I think it was huge. Like it was a and I've never been really big with like I've never been good with my mindset and my journey and figuring out my why. Like that's been a big thing for me. I don't That's so confused. What do you mean dig deep? How? Where am I finding this information? And by actually participating and watching all these videos in the slim down and taking notes and following along, I was able to find my why for the first time ever in years and years. And so it's a huge thing, and it's so big when you just take a step back and you flip the script and you're like, okay, we've got to take a look at this situation in a different light because it's not working.
I love it. And first off, like, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take, right? Like, God doesn't God doesn't force you to do it. He gives you an option. You can stay and be scared, or you can attempt whatever it is and look at how far where you're going with it, you know? I love it. And then for you ladies that don't know, if you've never done our slim down, the very first day in our slim down program, we challenge you to dig deep and find your why. And this is such a useful tool that Jocelyn was talking about because your why keeps you going. Whether again with your financial, weight loss, career, life, relationship, whatever your goals are in life, knowing your why keeps you going when motivation fails because it will. And so Jocelyn just said, like, for the first time in years and years and years, she finally figured out why she needs to know her why, and she found it. Do you mind? Like, I know this is like, do you mind sharing your
It put me
why?
on the spot.
I know sometimes that makes people cry. And so,
That's okay. That's okay. So, I am in a completely different space than I was the first time I worked for Lady Boss, the first time I did Lady Boss. I'm married, I'm a wife, I'm happy and life is good. And honestly, like, and I had talked to my wife about it and I was like, I don't know how to figure this out. And she's like, well, what are the videos saying that you're watching? And, I went over the questions that you asked and she said, maybe and it's kind of like this conversation, right? Maybe you're just so like convinced that you're going to fail that you don't come up with a why because you don't want to see that you have a reason to keep going, right? And
Mhm.
so that is also when I came up with my word of the year, which is capable. And I just need to prove to myself that I am capable of doing anything I want to do. Anything. Like right now, we're about to go on a week-long vacation, right? I've never been to Washington, D.C., I've never been to West Virginia. And my first goal that I set was to be able to lose a little bit of weight and gain a little bit of stamina for my trip so that when we go, I'm going to be able to keep up and I'm going to be able to hike and be able to do all these things. And I met my goal because I needed to prove to myself that I was capable and I can do it. So my why is just proving to myself that I am capable. I can do anything. I can run the 30-day slim downs. I can be a lady boss. I can lose the 10 pounds, even if it takes me 5 months. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
doesn't matter how long it takes. The point is that I can do it. Right. And so I came up with capable for my word of the year. It's on my bulletin board right in front of me. And I wear it on my ring on my finger, and then on the inside it has Philippians 4:13. So I have just really, this has been in God's hands, but it's a constant reminder that I'm capable. I can do this.
Yes, I love it. You are so capable, Jocelyn. And I just have to tell you, so Philippians 4:13, while it's not the Lady Boss like official verse, it's a great verse. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And in fact, my kids, I make them recite it every single day before school drop off because I want them to remember, like, no matter what you're going through, you can do all things with Christ, with God with you. Like,
Yep.
I love that verse. Such a good verse. So obviously you said, I think you said 100% of this journey has been in God's hands this time around. And that's been a big difference than prior. Tell me more about that. Like, how has leaning into your faith really changed the way you see this journey versus your others?
Yeah, so for sure, we started going to a new church, and that has been a really big thing for me. We walked in 2 weekends ago, and we're doing a study on Philippians, and I was like, oh, I'm meant to be here.
Yep.
But I think like just leaning into God's word and understanding that like he has a plan for me and he already has that laid out. And I actually relayed this to my kid the other day, right? God is going to give you the ingredients, okay, but you have to make the cake at the end
Oh
of the
yeah.
day, right? He's
Yep.
going to give you everything you need, but you still have to put in the work. And that's been a big thing for all of us, like in our family, right? Like God's giving you the ingredients. You have everything you need, but you have to make the cake, right?
Yep.
So you don't
And
have
invest
to. I
that.
mean, you don't have to make the cake, right? It's an option. You could make cookies, but they're not going to turn out as good if you don't have all the right ingredients, right? So,
Mhm.
but that's really the way like I look at it, right? I know that God has all of these things laid out and in place for me to succeed in my journey the way that He has planned for me to. And I just am trusting that, and putting in the work. And it's definitely a different mindset to have when you're on your journey.
It is for sure. I'm sure you've heard the story. I believe it was three wise men, right? They were each given a sack of gold. One buried it so he wouldn't lose it. The other one doubled it, and the third one like quadrupled it, right? And it was all in the differences of mindset. And if you go back to that story, who was God like, okay, more proud, I guess more proud of what I would say was the one who quadrupled the investment because he used the tools and the resources that he was giving him to grow and share rather than hide and stay reserved, right? Like to prosper, to make the cake, as you said.
Exactly. Exactly. And that, when I came back, right, I've been a part of Lady Boss for a long time, right? And it's the difference between Lady Boss and other weight loss companies is that these are not just random ingredients that we have thrown together and pushed out to make a sales tactic, right? The Boss Method formula works. Those ingredients work if you put them together and you make the cake, right? Like lean works if you add it in once a day, and it's going to give you those minerals and the vitamins and everything you need if you drink it once a day. Like it's not going to do you any good if it's sitting on top of the refrigerator unopened.
Nope, not
But
at all.
and I think that me being in the middle of my journey, it's helpful for these ladies in the community to see, oh, she's running the slim down groups, right? So she has to be seeing some of this stuff, right? And I am like, I have lost 13 pounds since the beginning of my journey. And so it's proof that these things work, right? This is not just some random scheme that we've thrown together, right? This is real life. These women have been in your shoes, and this is what's going to help you get there, right? Like, I am living proof of that.
Yes, you are. And God isn't waiting for you to be perfect, right? Like he's using you right now. I love it. So I've got to know, you mentioned earlier that like you just focused on one thing. I think you said like there are 34 ounces of water you
Mhm.
mentioned, and then hitting your protein first. I want to talk about that. What did those steps actually look like for you? Like, how did you layer it on? Can you break it down?
So, yeah, so at first I was hesitant. And so I was, I was watching all the videos, I was taking notes of all the things I wanted to do. And I didn't want to do anything extreme because I knew that if I made a grocery list, I knew if I ran to the gym 5 days a week, I knew I wasn't going to stick with it. And so I have my 32-ounce wallet, it goes with me everywhere. And I was like, what if I just fill this up today and I just focus on drinking it while I'm working? And if I drink all of it, fantastic. And if I don't, try again tomorrow. And I ended up drinking all of it. And so I was like, okay, so now I'm going to do this for like about four days ish, right? And then I'm going to try to add something else in. So I get to the end of the 4 days. I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to just start focusing on protein. I'm not necessarily counting anything, but if I'm not going to eat breakfast, I'm going to have a protein bar. Or if I'm not going to, if I'm not hungry at all, I'm going to have a lean shake. Or I'm going to do something that just is making sure that I'm getting my protein in, and I'm getting my protein in first. Right. So if we're going out to eat, right, I'm going to eat the chicken first before I start on anything else. And, using the tips that we talk about, like if you're going out to eat, right, put half of your meal in a to-go box, right? And, I started just adding in the protein, right? And then making sure I'm getting in, a lean shake, or making sure I'm getting in an apple with lunch. Like just really simple, small things that aren't super noticeable to me. But by the end of the week, you've done all these things and you're like, oh my gosh, I've hit all these goals. I can do anything. Like you're like, oh my gosh. And so then I started adding in 15-minute workouts on my lunch break. They're nothing insane. They're 15 minutes long. And I get to feel accomplished because I've moved my body, and that's it. That's all I had to do. I moved my body and I don't have to do anything else if I don't want to. Like that's it.
And you said you're down how many pounds?
13.
Ah, it's huge. I truly think so many women need to hear this. We're so quick to think that you have to go all or nothing, go all in. But those tiny, seemingly insignificant steps, right? They add up over time. Really
They
focusing on
do.
that progress over perfection. What advice would you give to women listening that feel like their small efforts aren't adding up? I've even seen some of that in the community lately. Like, what
Yeah.
would you tell them? What do you tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I would say get involved in the Lady Boss community. That is your first step. Like, I don't care if you're just saying, hey, popping in, saying hi, right? You're gonna have other women like, hey, hi, hope you have a great day, right? Get involved and meet other women, because we are all in this together. And the more you engage, the more support you have, and the more you're gonna get out of it. And by sparkling other women, right, you're gonna feel better, and it's going to come back to you. And I think getting involved is first. Like you've just got to put yourself out there, and that's the first step, right? And all of us at Lady Boss are so excited to be your hype girls. So
Heck
get in the
yeah.
community, let us be your hype girls, let us help you out. And I know I just mentioned it, right? And here's what I know for sure is The Boss Method formula isn't a random plan, right? The 30-day slim down is not a quick fix. It's real life made by real women who have been exactly where you are. I'm one of those women, not because I've made it to the end of my weight loss goal, but because I've stopped trying and waiting to feel worthy of showing up. God put me here for a reason, right? He let me fail and fall and learn all these things so that I could be here with you, walking through your weight loss journey together, right? You don't have to be successful to start showing up with purpose. You're allowed to speak up, to show up, to take up space, no matter
Yes.
where you are, no matter where you are.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, you're gonna fall. You're gonna do things that don't align with your journey. I am also going to do that. It's going to happen. I'm going on vacation, and I don't plan to work out once. I'm gonna get my steps in, but I don't plan to work out. I plan to enjoy all these new foods that I'm gonna find, right? And that's real, right? This isn't temporary, right? This is forever. A lot of us, we start a weight loss journey and it just becomes our life, right? It's just a lifestyle change. And you know, I've been through depression, I've been under my goal weight, I've been unhappy, you know what I mean? And I've started and stopped more times than I could possibly count. But I'm here and I'm not perfect, and this is forever. There's no finish line, right? And commit to it and just get involved and just take really, really small baby steps.
I love it. We're gonna flip the script for a minute. We talked about, you know, wanting to be at the finish line before you share and the fears that hold you back from even getting started. But let's flip it around to like fear of success. The what if we can do it? What if we succeed?
Right.
Why do you think fear of success is so terrifying, so scary for so many?
Because it's so unknown. Then what do? We don't know, right? Like, what
Next.
happens? What happens next? I don't know. I've never been there before. I don't know what happens next, you know? And I think that maybe there are some people who, if you are in a weight loss journey, right, then you can, if you were, you know, losing faster than somebody else, then maybe you feel guilty. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's hard, right? If you have friends that are on the same journey, right, that's possible. But I think that definitely just having that unknown, like I've never been here before, so
Mhm.
if I drink my water, then what am I gonna have to do? Am I gonna have to go to the gym and work out? Because I don't know if I can handle that.
Well, and
And
it's almost like we're more afraid of what happens if we succeed rather than fail because then we have to like keep going, right?
exactly.
Like, what if we saw success as an invitation to grow rather than the pressure to have perfection, right? I think that's what's wrong with so many diets and fads out there is there is all this pressure because it's not sustainable. It's not something you can do for a lifetime. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give up carbs for the rest of my life. I love my carbs,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I think too, a lot of weight loss companies and diets and fads, right? There's an end, right? And you're like, what do I do at the end, right? The 30-day slim down. What do you do at the end of the 30-day slim down? Well, you just hop back in the LadyBoss community. We're
Hmm.
still here. We're not going anywhere, right? If you want to hop back in another slim down, go for it, right? We're still here. We're not going anywhere. There's no end, right? That you don't have to be scared that there's some like black hole at the end of the tunnel, right? Like this is just we're always going to be here, right? You always, if you need support, we're here for you. We're here to hype you up and help you out and pick you back up. And it's just, I think that's scary not knowing what comes next, but we'll be here to hold your hand.
And it's so worth it because once you hit that first big goal, like you feel unstoppable, right? You just go on to the
once
next.
you once you just even just taking pictures and not even thinking about the scale, right? As soon as you see a little tiny difference in those pictures, you're like, okay, maybe I could drink an extra bottle of water today. You know what I mean? Like, how far could I actually push myself today? You know what I mean? Like, there is that line. You don't want to go overboard, right? But it inspires you to do more.
Yeah, it does. And to keep going because not only like do you see it, you feel it. Your
Yeah.
energy levels, your mood, like you feel better, you look better, like it just I'm actually getting ready to go on a trip myself as well. and we're going to be doing some of the national parks. And for like the first time in my life, I'm excited. I'm like, ooh, can we go on this hike to go like to this lake and to this canyon and and normally I'm like, no, I'm going to die out in the woods. I'm not going to be able to breathe and huff and puff. I still might huff and puff. We're at higher altitudes. I'm
Yeah.
not saying like I'm actually excited
Yeah.
to be able to go do these things instead of being like, my knees hurt.
Yeah, and that was and like I said, that was my original goal. I don't, and I still don't have a number goal, right? I didn't want to put a number on it because I don't really know with my body type right now, I don't really know where I'm going to be happy at, right? And so my first goal is we're going on this trip and I want to be able to go and hike and do all these great things in West Virginia because it's beautiful. I want to
Yes.
go to DC and walk around and see all these sites because you don't drive in DC, right? And so
Mm,
I'm like,
lots of
I've got
walking.
to yeah, I have to build some stamina now. It's coming up, and I'm like, I'm ready. It's still gonna be hard, and I'm still gonna be hot, and but I'm like, I'm excited. I'm ready.
I love it. Even my husband the other day is like, "Why do you think I've been going on walks and so much so often?" Because I'm like getting ready for this trip, and it's funny because he's used to being in the woods. He's used to
Right.
like, hiking and going, and but life gets in the way, right? And he's like, "No, like I don't want to. I want to be able to explore with my family."
Yeah. Yep.
Game changer. Well, Jocelyn, we've talked about a lot of things in this episode. If you pick just
Yes.
one thing, what one thing that have we talked about in this episode that you would want the ladies, the women listening to take away from today?
Um, Definitely that you can share your story before you reach any kind of goal. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you've met your weight loss goal and you're in maintenance, or if you're just starting, or if you're restarting, or if you're really just kind of in this like, I think I'm ready to stop and give up again. Like, especially then, right? Like, reach out and put yourself out there and be vulnerable. Like, it's not weak to be vulnerable.
Strength.
It takes courage, and we're here for it, all of it.
And the Lady Boss community is a safe space. Like
Absolutely.
post away, like asking for help, tips, advice, raw, real. We're here for it. We're here to be your hype girls, as Jocelyn
I
said earlier.
guess.
I love it.
Hey.
To all the women who are listening right now, who feel that they're not ready to quite share their story, though, I want to say this. You are worthy of being heard right now, not when you hit the goal, not when you have the perfect before and after. There's no such thing as perfect. Share now, ladies. Jocelyn, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and your truth with us today. And thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, I have too. I always like I know you, right? I get to work with you. I've known you for years and years, but it's like every time I get to hop on these podcasts and like have these interactions with Lady Boss employees, Lady Boss customers, ladies who are all about building up and encouraging, inspiring women. It always blows me away because I get to learn a little bit more about you. And I always have those ahas. I'm like, oh, I had no idea about Jocelyn or that she went through this. And so I truly thank you for sharing with us and being brave enough to, because I know it's not easy, right? But
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. And ladies,
Yes.
remember, ladies, we are all in this together. We hear you, we see you, we want to know your story. So share. Until next time, we will talk to you next week. Bye.